Okay, so I'm going to give you a little wrap on our winter factors. So you can see right up here, you have the NAO, which is the North Atlantic Oscillation. So the NAO is the pressure patterns across the North Atlantic. So let's just clear all this. So generally, you have your NAO comparing these two regions. So when there's a high pressure up here and low pressure down here, this is called a negative NAO. So this would favor an eastern trough. Low, colder than normal temperatures across the eastern U.S. And it would also favor nor'easters because there's no ridging down here to prevent them from forming. And you can also see that you have your high pressure up here, which often can lead to warmer than normal temperatures up in the North Atlantic, up near Iceland and Greenland. So, and also the low pressure can create weaker than normal trades and basically westerly wind bursts across the Atlantic, warming it. But that's hurricane season. And I'm not talking about that in this video. Let's go on to the next oscillation. So the ENSO region. So the ENSO typically varies based on the ENSO's effect on winter can vary quite a bit, but for the most part, you get shots of cold. This is credit to AccuWeather. You get shots of cold air across the eastern tier into New England. For the most part, you get a lot of warmth, pretty dry and mild across the south. You can also see a wetter than normal west coast US. So yeah, but really it can really vary based on the PDO, which I'll get into in a second. The PDO is basically temperatures off the west coast, the sea surface temperature anomalies off the west coast, which you can see. So let's get in. So you can see it varies quite a bit with El Nino and La Nina and neutral. But let's get into our forecast so we can pick out one of these and try and see what the winter will look like. So you can see right here, this is the probabilistic forecast, which basically means the probability of one of these occurring. So you can see right now we're in neutral conditions. So you can see right now we're in neutral conditions, but like I bet you're looking at this chart and wondering what all these numbers mean. So this bar, the gray bar, is the probability of ENSO neutral conditions. The blue bar is the probability of La Nina, and the red bar is the probability of El Nino. And these are the probabilities on the side. So right now we have around a 70% chance of neutral, around a 25% chance of La Nina, and a near 0% chance of El Nino. You can see as we move forward in time, the La Nina chances go up, and then the uncertainty starts to increase later in the period. Like, what does this mean? What does JFM mean, or ASO, or MJJ? Well, those are just abbreviated months. So May, June, July, August, July, August, September, October, September, October, November, and it goes forward by 1 month in a 3-month period. Yeah. So, but what's really important is this trend line. So you can see that the odds of La Nina are going to peak around DJF. So this is winter time, December, January, February, and they eventually decrease later in the winter, JFM. So January, February, March. And so this is generally the peak of winter DJF and JFM. It can even stretch into November, depending on the year, depending on how intense the NAO and all the other factors I'm going to talk about are. But this year you can see that the general forecast is for La Nina and ENSO-neutral conditions. So what implications does that have? Well, as I said before, it varies based on PDO. So you can see we're going to have so you can see right now, these are the 4 potential patterns based on whether or not we get La Nina, and whether or not we get La Nina or neutral. So you can see in a neutral with a positive PDO, an eastern trough, pretty powerful one. But when you get a negative PDO, you get a western trough and an eastern ridge. And when you get a positive PDO, you get a pretty big trough across the just majority of the country. And when you get a negative PDO, you get that big heat dome across the east. So generally, as you can see, a negative PDO is a lot more favorable. A negative PDO is a lot hotter than a positive PDO. So you may be wondering at this point, how's the PDO looking? So you can see right now, generally, PDO region is pretty warm along the west coast. So let's actually get the PDO index. Yeah. So we're gonna go look at the PDO index. So you can see at the moment our PDO is in fact negative. So that would support colder than normal temperatures, but it has been turning a little more positive lately. So again, you're gonna want to watch these trends as the year continues, because winter is still very far out, and at this point, not much is known. So I'm not going to give a forecast because it's still very early in the year. But at the moment, I'll just tell you the conditions. So we have a negative PDO. We have a negative NAO. We have a negative PDO and a negative ENSO. Very negative 2020. That applies in a lot of places. Well, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you know more about your winter forecast now. I may release another one of these, but I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like if you want another comment on how you want your winter to go in 2020 to 2021. So, bye.